So let's now shift our attention to social media platforms and public relation strategy. So we are going to look at some of the social media platforms. We know there are several of them and how PROs use these social media platforms. So one key area under social media platforms and public relation strategy is the steps that has to be followed when you are developing a social media strategy. So if a public relation practitioner wants to leverage any of the social media platforms for their work, they have to follow certain steps to be able to be successful. So we are going to take a look at some of the steps in developing a social media strategy. So the first step is defining or setting clear goals or objectives. So before you decide to use any of the social media platforms for your PR campaigns or strategy, you first have to define your goals or set or define your objectives. This is the first step, and it is very important because it is going to guide everything that you do. It is going to guide the kind of content that you put out there. So the first step is setting or defining your goals. So before choosing even the platform that you want to use for the PR campaign, you need to set clear and measurable goals. So, what is the goal, or what is the reason or motive behind you choosing a particular social media platform? Do you want to raise awareness about your brand? Do you want to manage your reputation and monitor conversations around your brand on social media platforms? Do you want to promote your events or products? You need to be able to identify and set these clear goals. This will even inform the kind of platform that you are going to choose. Because, for instance, if you want to raise awareness, you know that okay, TikTok is a platform that can give you a wide reach, or it can make your content go viral. So setting your goals help you to decide on the kind of platform that you want to use, and even the type and approach of content that you want to use as well. So this is the first step that would guide the entire um, public relation strategy. We now move on to the second step, which is understanding your audience. So you need to know your audiences so that know their interests, know their concerns, so that you can address these concerns, or you can tailor your messaging to suit or meet their needs. So understanding your audience or audience analysis is another crucial step in developing a social media strategy. If you really want to engage with your audience, you need to know their demographics, which include their age, their gender, their location, their occupation. Because, for instance, a youth focused gaming company will decide to target males, okay, young adults, on platforms like Twitch and YouTube. So, knowing your audience help you to know the kind of platform that even you're going to use to engage them. So, that is another crucial step. And understanding your audience, another key point to note is that you need to know your audiences, their interest. Okay, so you need to know that your audiences on these social media platforms, they differ. I mean, they are different, and most of them prefer different platforms. Okay, some prefer to be reached out on TikTok, some prefer to be reached out on Instagram, and some even prefer short videos to long text. Okay, once they see any content that has read more, they are pissed off. So you need to know the interest of your audience and the platform that they prefer to be engaged on. Once you are able to understand your audience, you are able to increase the effectiveness of your communication towards them. The third step is selecting the appropriate platform. So now that you've defined your goals, say you want to raise awareness, you now understand your audience, their preferences, their interests, and how they want to be reached out, and all that. The next step is to select the appropriate platform, because not every platform is suitable for every audience. Okay, so the PRO has to choose a platform based on the target audience that they want to reach out to. You need to consider this. So, with intel from your audience analysis and also your goals, you need to select an appropriate medium that is suitable or that would give you the wide reach for the audience that you want to engage with. And in selecting the appropriate platform, you need to also make sure that you align the platform that you are choosing. Make sure that the platform that you choose are aligned with your goals that you set up in step one. So, for instance, if the goal or the objective is crisis communication management, you can use Twitter, which is now X, because that is a vibrant and fast-paced platform that most intellectuals are on. So if you want to manage crisis, you can leverage a platform like Twitter. If you want to make corporate announcements, like you have a job opening, you want people to enroll, or you want people to apply for an employment or a vacant position, you can use LinkedIn. And for visual storytelling, you can use Instagram. So all that this means is that once you know your objectives and you understand your audience, now choose a platform that aligns with these objectives and aligns with the interests of your audience. So that is the next step: selecting the appropriate medium by making sure that the platform that you choose is in alignment with the goals that you want to achieve, and also in alignment with your audience, their interests, and their preferences. Now, in selecting a platform, because you are not just using one particular platform, you can also, or the PRO can also use analytics to determine the platform that gives them the strongest or the highest engagement. So, if your goal is to manage crisis and you've issued or you create content for Facebook, TikTok, Instagram, and X, you can use analytics to see or to analyze and understand which of these platforms are giving you the highest reach, or which of them is generating the highest reach, engagement, and so on. And then once you know that these are the platforms that are giving you the highest engagement and reach, you can then focus on these platforms, because choosing the right platforms ensures that your messages reach the most relevant publics. Okay. So if you choose a platform that is not reaching out to your relevant publics, it means that you are just wasting your time and resources. So that is what it is. That's selecting the platform that is appropriate for you to reach out to your intended publics. The next step is content planning. This is another crucial step. So you've defined your objectives. You now understand your audience. You've selected the platform that you want to use to engage them. What you then have to do next is plan your content. Plan your content. You should have a content calendar, schedule posts, ensure that you regularly and timely communicate with your audience. You can't have a platform and you barely engage with your audiences. You are not active on your social media handles. You make a post once in a blue moon. You only post during holidays or special events: Black Fridays, New Year, Easter, Christmas. No, you need to have a content calendar that people or your audience can look up to. They know that, oh, okay, as for this brand, they post at least 3 times in a week. Fridays are they are assured that you are going to make a post. Okay, so you need to constantly engage your audience in a timely fashion. Be consistent. Plan your content. Plan your content, and make sure that this content aligns with your PR goals. So don't just because you are planning the content, you use content that is not going to achieve your intended objective. So develop a content calendar, schedule posts regularly so that your audience can be engaged. Because once you are not active, other people are going to influence their perception about your brand if they are posting about your brand. The next step, the next step is engagement and community management. So you need to constantly engage with your audiences because engaging with them helps to build trust and also maintain strong relationship. In engaging them, you should respond to questions, address concerns. Don't just make posts and you never address any of the comments that comes with it. Okay, you need to engage your audience, communicate, interact with them, address all their issues and questions so that you can build stronger relationships with them and you can also build trust with them. Because once you are adamant, you are non-responsive to their concerns, you don't engage them and you don't even address their issues, they don't have they will not have trust in your brand because they feel like you are unresponsive, you don't care about their challenges and needs. So the next step after putting your content out there is that you need to engage your audiences. Engagement and community management also entails that you kind of foster two-way interaction. So encourage user-generated content. You can have challenges where you make them cook with your brand products and ask them to share, and then the winner or the one who has the most likes will be given a prize. Because once you engage them with user generated content, you try to hear and also know what they feel, you are able to build this long trust. Okay, so that is another aspect of engagement. Try to encourage user generated content where you make them reproduce skits and videos with your brand products. Okay, that also helps to foster long lasting relationships with your audience on these social media platforms. The last step is to monitor and evaluate. So you've done all these things, you've put the content out there, you interact and engage with your audience. Make sure that you monitor and evaluate. In monitoring, you are tracking real-time data about your dimensions of your brand, the trends, and also public sentiment about your brand. And in evaluating, you are trying to assess the impact of your PR campaigns, okay, against your set objectives using key performance indicators. So what this means is that you set an objective or you define a clear objective of raising awareness about your brand. You've understood your audience, you've chosen the appropriate platform, you've put the content out there, you engage them. At the end of the day, you need to know if these efforts are yielding the intended results. So you have to use key performance indicators like engagement, reach, sentiment analysis, to evaluate and assess to see if these efforts are really yielding or helping you to achieve your objectives. If in analyzing, monitoring, and evaluating, you realize that most of the public sentiment around your content is not so good, it's negative, then you can what? Evaluate, meaning you can adjust your strategy, okay, to be able to achieve your objectives. So that is the last step in developing a social media strategy. So before a PRO engages or uses the platforms, these social media platforms, they need to follow these steps. Define your objectives, clear ones, understand your audience, select the appropriate platform, plan your content, schedule the content, engage with your audience, and then monitor and evaluate. Let's now take a look at the benefits of using social media and PR. So you've developed your strategy for social media engagement. Now, what benefits do you stand to gain? So, this is quite similar or very much the same as the benefits of new media platforms, which we discussed in video 1.0. So, with this, some of the benefits include speed. So, these social media platforms are very fast paced and they enhances or facilitate instantaneous communication or instant information sharing. So with the social media platforms, you can reach a wide audience or you can reach your targeted audience within a short space of time. You need not have to go through traditional gatekeepers. That comes with using radio, TV, magazines, and newspapers. With the social media platform, you can reach your audience within a short space of time, communicate with them, launch your products, manage crisis, in real time in a fast and quick manner. So that is one benefit of using social media in PR. The second benefit is reach. So the social media platforms offers a global or a wider reach. There is no geographical barriers or blockades or limitations. You can reach out to global audience using social media platforms. So that is another benefit. With the traditional media or radio and TV and stations and newspapers, you can reach just a limited audience, but social media platforms help you to reach out to a vast majority of your audience. The next importance is interactivity. It allows for two-way communication where you can interact with your audience, address their concerns, and also engage them. So it is very interactive. It is not one way where you are just communicating. Your audience also respond, and then you are able to address their issues and also engage them. The fourth benefit is cost effectiveness. Compared to traditional media platforms, this is very cheap. With just as low as $5 for sponsored ads, you can reach out to a lot of targeted publics. And even if you are not using sponsored ads, all that the PRO needs to do is to have a social media account, and then they are able to reach out to audience. They need not have to pay any extra charges such as advertising fees and all that, which comes with traditional media. This is very cost effective means of reaching out to your audience or communicating with them. And then it also facilitates or enhances targeting. So it allows you to target your intended publics. Traditional media, when you are using it, you can be communicating to people who are not even your targeted audience. Okay, because if you buy airtime on a news um, hour on TV3, you might probably be reaching out to people who are not your intended publics. If you are selling clothing, women clothing, not everyone who is watching the news is interested in that. But with social media platforms, you can target your content to reach out to people who like fashion. Okay, so only people that are into fashion would have your content showing up in their feed. Okay, so it allows you to target the audience that you want to reach out to, which makes sure that you are not wasting your your communication efforts. So it enhances or it facilitates targeting, and then it also allows for real-time feedback. So once you communicate with your audience on social media, they respond, they give you feedback, and then you're able to address these concerns and also adjust your strategies. This does not come with traditional media. Okay, so that is another benefit. Let's now look at social media in crisis communication. Social media and crisis communication. This is another crucial aspect of social media which is it can be effectively used to manage crisis. So, what are some of the things that you need to do when you are using social media for crisis communication? That is what we are going to look at. So, one of the first or key things that you need to do is that you need to respond with facts. Okay. In crisis situations, speed and accuracy is very, very, very crucial. Okay. If organizations delay in responding to crisis situations, misinformation can fill that gap for them within a short space of time. So, what the PR teams need to do is that they need to provide verified information. They have to make sure that the information they are putting out there is facts and not just assumptions or what they think. Okay, so respond quickly with facts and verified information as early as possible. Okay, if you want to guide the public narrative, because in a crisis situation, if you don't respond quickly with facts, like I've said, people are going to spread misinformation. Journalists are going to say what they know or what they think because you are not responding to the situation. So they will tell their side of the story, and this is going to affect your brand reputation. So to prevent rumors and to establish authority over the crisis situation, as well as demonstrate responsibility, you need to respond quickly with facts and verified information. So the second step, or the second measure, or the second means of using social media in crisis communication, one key thing to note is that you also have to acknowledge the issue transparently. Okay, covering up an issue which is point blank your fault, or trying to minimize the severity or intensity of a situation can lead to backlash. Okay, and digital publics or users expect honesty. So, as a PR team, they need to acknowledge what has happened. If there is a need to apologize, they need to do so if that is necessary. If there is a need to explain what is done or what is being done to resolve the issue which they are at fault, they need to also do that as as it is necessary. So what this means is that if you don't have the facts, or if you are at fault, the organization is at fault, they shouldn't try to use the strategy of denial or trying to shift blame. They should use corrective action. They should acknowledge they should acknowledge the issue transparently. They should be honest, admit wrongdoing, and then tell us the steps that they are putting in place to resolve the issue. That is another way of using social media and crisis communication. And then you have to also use official handles to control the narrative during crisis situations, or using social media for crisis communication. You need to use official handles. Okay, so during crisis, fake news spread very quickly. So using unofficial accounts can even spread false information, because people expect that you use the verified handles to communicate with them. That way, they see the information as authentic and coming from a trustworthy source. Okay, so don't use your personal accounts to address an issue during crisis. Use the official verified social media accounts to provide accurate and trusted information, because it ensures that publics receive credible information. It prevents impersonation, because once it is coming from the official handles of the organization, they are convinced that this is the view, or this is the viewpoint of the organization and not of another person. So use the verified and official handles of the organization during crisis to ensure that publics view the communication as credible and coming from a trustworthy source. And then you need to also monitor sentiment to guide your messaging. So you've responded quickly with facts, you've acknowledged the issue, you've used the official handles. Now, what you need to do is that you need to monitor sentiment, okay? Because once you respond to crisis, people would make their comments. You need to analyze this, monitor the platform to see how they feel. Are they angry about what you've communicated? Are they confused? Do they feel that you are being supportive in your communication, or are they being fearful? Okay, so when you monitor the sentiment of what you have put out there during a crisis, it guides you to refine your messages, the tone, the frequency, and also the content of the crisis for future crisis communication as well. So you need to monitor sentiment, understand what publics feel about what you have put out there during the crisis, so that to guide you in restructuring your tone and also the content of your messaging. Now, once you are able to monitor sentiment and understand how the publics feel, it helps you to correct misunderstanding. Maybe someone didn't understand what you've put out there. They felt misunderstood, or they misunderstood what you communicated. Once you monitor the sentiment and there's an indication that people have misunderstood what you communicated, you can then apologize, clarify what you've said, or even provide more data to support your communication. So that is why it is important to monitor sentiment. It also allows you to improve. Then the last thing to do when you are using social media and crisis communication, another um, key thing to note or another best practice is that you need to use pre pre-prepared crisis templates. So there should be consistency in your templates. Once people see the template, they should know that this is coming from GRA, this is coming from WIAC, this is coming from Greco. The template of your press release, the template of your communication should should be consistent. It should be something that you've already prepared so that once the crisis erupts, you adapt it. Okay, having a pre-prepared crisis template helps you to also respond quickly. Okay, and it also ensures consistency because once you have a crisis template and you use it, whenever you use it, people will be convinced that this is coming from your organization because of the consistency in your crisis templates. So thank you for your time. This is the end of video 2.0 for the new media learnathon. Video 3.0 is coming up with new media policy and all the other items in the agenda.